Hello, this is a very important presentation for Year 13 students and you must watch it all the way to the end. It's short, it's to the point, and it's critical that you take this on board. On Monday, I wrote to all of you about the proposed new arrangements for exams this year. They're not definite yet, they're still only proposed, but it's clear where it looks like we're heading. I have to say that based on some of the sampling that we've done, only about 50% of students in Year 11 and Year 13 have read that letter. Because many of you haven't, it looks like you're now asking questions to teachers which are distracting. Distracting for you and distracting for them. Also that people are becoming worried when they don't need to be. So the first thing to say is if you get a letter from your teachers, make sure you read it. Look, I accept that it's disappointing that GCSEs and A Levels aren't able to take place in a normal way this year. And I feel your frustration at the situation that you're in. However, I am not worried, and I would encourage you not to be unduly worried either. I'm not worried because I'm actually very confident that the system that's being put together is fair, is straightforward, and it will allow you to get grades that reflect the hard work that you put in. So let me talk to you a little bit about it. Whilst we don't know the exact details, and we won't do for some time, we know enough to talk to you now. And I'm going to explain now how, generally speaking, this will work. So teachers are going to assess the standard that you're performing at in each subject. Look, not everyone at KA performs at the same standard. Some people are at a grade 5 standard, some people are at a grade 7 standard, some people are at A grade standard, some people are at a C grade standard. And that's always the case in every year. What we're going to do is work that out, who's at what standard, based on evidence and in a fair and open way that we will explain to you. The most likely option is that schools will be back after February half term, or if not then, after Easter. That will give us a good amount of time to teach and work with you before we get to May and early June, when we will run a set of internal exams. And you might say, hang on, Mr Benson, what? You're replacing exams with exams? But no, that's not what's happening. These will be internal exams with a safety net in place. What do I mean by that? Well, we will have some control, we expect, over the topics that are on the papers that you take. So if we weren't able to teach you a topic due to a lockdown, we won't ask you questions on that topic. What else do I mean by exams with a safety net? Well, if you were sick or you had to isolate on the day of one of the exams, we could make alternative arrangements. And that could even be you taking that exam paper at home. I don't expect that to have to happen, but if it needed to, it could, and there would be supervision in place. So it's a formal assessment. It's late on in the academic year, so we're assessing your performance at the latest possible moment. And this is the fairest way to approach this. You thought you were going to take exams, so why not get a model which is at least close to that? But it's not a full, normal set of exams with no protection, because that wouldn't be right, given everything that you've been through over the course of the last year. Now, we will also look at other evidence, for example, work that you produce now or when you're back at school, formal tests or coursework, and even past mock exams that you've done. But notice how these boxes are much smaller. They carry less weight, and certainly no one listening to this should be thinking, oh, hang on, because I got a bad mock result in the past, that's going to be the determining factor in my actual grades. They are called mocks for a reason, and they are in the past. We are looking forward. Now, it is true that potentially there could be some disruption into the summer term. What if we can't come back after February half term or after Easter? Well, in that case, we would still want to do some exams with you in some form, but they would have to be more limited because we'd have less time to prepare you. The evidence blocks would probably shift around. So the other assessed work that I talked about, substantial work or formal tests that you have been able to do or are able to do, would carry more weight. And we wouldn't be looking mainly at exams in the way we are in the model, which is Plan A, which is there in blue, which is what we think is going to happen. So generally speaking, that's the way your grades will be awarded. Some subjects will be different. In art, for example, we already know that there aren't any exams, internal or otherwise. In art, GCSE and A Level grades will be decided 100% based on the portfolio that you're doing now. Now, if you can come back after February half term or after Easter, your art portfolio can grow because you'll be able to add more to it. If we are disrupted into the summer term, your portfolio will probably be a bit more limited and include work that you've done at home. But other practical subjects will have different models too. But in any subject, it's fair, it's clear, and it's going to be set out. So let me summarize here. Your teachers will tell you the different elements that are going to make up your grade. I am not going to say here that in French GCSE it will be a speaking exam in April, a reading paper in May that's not a normal exam but it's got adjustments in, a writing paper in June which is an exam style paper but with adjustments, and 20% of your French GCSE grade will be based on other evidence like formal tests or substantial work. It's not my job to talk to you about French GCSE, it's Miss Pendle's job, and frankly she'll do it a lot better than I will. So your teachers will talk you through this as and when they can. Any model that we put in place is going to be consistent in some ways across the whole school, but also specific to different subjects. Now remember, the May and June internal exams are likely to be the main element. This next bit is very important. Please do not ask your teachers constantly about this system. Don't say to them, oh, if I give you 10 essays now, miss, will that lead to a higher grade? You can only beef up your grade by addressing the elements in the model. So giving them 10 extra essays might be a good idea because you will know more and understand more for those May and June assessments, but it's not necessarily going to boost your grade. Your teachers are going to set everything out for you clearly and in detail as soon as they can. But realistically, you need to be patient and you need to wait. It could be late February or March before we can go through it with you in that detail. So let's take that discussion off the table, use the clarity that you have here and focus on the things that you can control. The system is set up for you to shine. We know the disruption you've been through. We've been here with you and we understand how hard it's been to come into school and out of school, back into school and back out of school, not just with lockdowns, but with those many of you who've had to isolate at different points. And all of that will be factored in. People have asked me about the March mocks. You know, we might run some tests in March. It's good for you to practice. It's sensible to check what you've learned in lockdown. Could be helpful in terms of us planning the first half of the summer term. But no, we're not going to use March mock data just when you've come back in from lockdown to calculate your grades. The guidance on that is very clear. May and early June is the time to collect the best evidence through formal testing with those safety nets that I had in play. The next point is there are good contingency plans. It means there's good backup plans in case we still see disruption into April and May. We wouldn't be able to do exactly what I said in that main model, but we'd do something else which wouldn't be as good, but it would definitely be okay. The process is going to be fair and objective. It's not about your relationship with a teacher or what's happened in the past. It's about what you're doing now and what you do in the future. That's what counts. Everything is going to be checked within schools and between schools. Just like every year, we allocate coursework as teachers at different grades, and those coursework grades are checked by exam boards. It's exactly the same thing, it's just on a bigger scale. And lastly, and most importantly, your future is not in any way negatively affected by this arrangement. You can still get the best grades possible, and you can still go on to sixth form and university or quality apprenticeships in the way that you wanted to. So this is what I want you to think about, please. That green circle there and that May or early June formal assessment. It's just not the case that every time you fill in a Google document now, it's going to be counting towards your grade. You will have the chance to prepare, to revise, and we'll tell you the topics that will be on these assessments once we have that information, and to perform in a controlled way, just like you're used to. The green circle is the main factor. All of the work you're doing now is helpful, even if it's not on the exam, because it will support you progressing next year. But we will set that out, and that's what we want you to do. Now, it is true that every lesson, every homework, every piece of classwork is important. Yes, the work you submit now and in the future will help to build a picture in the teacher's head of the standard that you're working at, as long as it's reliable work and it's been completed in controlled conditions. But there's no need to feel overly anxious. Equally, what you can't take from this presentation is, oh, Mr. Benson said that exams are going to be easy this year. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they'll be adjusted. I'm saying they'll be fair. I'm saying that if you work hard, you'll get the grade that reflects that, and if you don't, you won't. Also, that there's no need to worry. So look, thanks for your attention. I really appreciate it. Thank you for completing this Google form, which is in the email. Can everyone do that now, please? It's going to take you 30 seconds. We need that data. Keep going, keep showing that intrepidous spirit. You all have it, you're all KA students. And if you do have any questions for me, I would love to see you in a Google Meet that we're going to hold on Monday after school at 4:15. And anything I haven't covered here, I'm happy to cover there. All right, best of luck, guys. Keep going.